Good evening, ladies and gentlemen across the world. We coming at you with a different flavor this evening. We do apologize for the upload as far as in the post that went out to let you all know we would be live yesterday evening. We apologize. We'll be back, and we back with another banger. So we gonna do it a little different. I'm introducing post game of post game sports coming from South Bend. Bend and Air is always a little different with the way we bringing the introductions in this evening. How you doing this evening? Post game of post game sports.
Man, I'm feeling marvelous, my brother. How you feeling this evening, I should say.
Man, feeling pretty good, man, and just ready to come and give the people what the people been waiting to see. They've been waiting to see what we've been thinking, what's been on our mind, and so many things that's been going on in the sports world. And another weekend and a week that it was of great sports all across the world. But this week, we talking part five of What If Wednesdays. And with this series, I did it a little different. I didn't take it back in time, but I brought it up to speed with the times that's going on today. And I just brought up three players that I feel has been talked about so much, throughout these last few years in the NBA. Anything you want to say to the people before we get started this evening, Post?
Yeah, man. I thought you was gonna let me introduce you, man.
Yes,
Anyway,
sir.
ladies and gentlemen, this dude, Mossburgh of Level Up Sports 10. What it do, brother?
Feeling pretty good, man. Feeling pretty good. How about yourself? And I'm gonna let you take the mic as we doing what we do. It's called a co-host this evening. I'm doing pretty good. Feeling great. It's been a rainy day here in the city, but now it's settled down and it is very chill this evening.
Yes, sir. Coming from the great state of Ohio. Ohio meets Indiana. Shout out to brother Blondie, man. How you doing out there, brother? We appreciate it, and we are always ready for that knowledge.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's the encyclopedia in the chat, man. And when I got the message from him today, and he was like, "Are you guys going live?" I said, "Yes, sir. We are going live tonight, 7:45, 8 p.m. We gonna be on, and we gonna be talking and doing what we do. As we gonna try to do this for the first time, we gonna try to hit y'all with a little bit of the co-host tonight with Moss and Post, Post and Moss, however you want to call it. So the first topic, Post, I'm gonna slide in with this one, and I'm gonna hit them with a what if that I've been thinking about for a couple days, couple weeks, even when I started this series. And I thought, what if on the NBA side, Nikola Jokic averaged a triple double next season? This is a big deal, and I'll elaborate more on that. But what is your thoughts on if he averages a triple double next season, coming off two straight?
I mean, it will be an incredible feat because I think the only player with three is Russell Westbrook. And if he's able to do that, it would be incredible. Now, what's up, Pop? Now, with me personally, it's a guy on Twitter or X as they call it now, who says that this era of NBA basketball is the stat porn era, which means it's very easy to accumulate like eye popping stats more so than it was back maybe when we were coming up watching the game and even before that. So, why a triple double is impressive, and I salute the Joker for that.
Yeah.
You know, a center averaging a triple double with points, rebounds, and assists is crazy work. You know, I still don't think I can put him above guys like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal, Bill Russell, Hakeem Olajuwon, guys like that, because I feel like if they were in this era, they would dominate just as much, as not even more.
I agree. And for me, when I had thought about this, what if I had really looked into his career, He's been in the league 10, 11 years. And the one thing that really popped my eye, out of him doing this, courageous feat, I'm going to call it, because of for him being his height, 7 feet. But the fact that he wants to pass that basketball, coming in for your first year averaging 2.7, and now you up at the skyrocket and you averaging 10.7, almost 11 assists here in your 10th, 11th season. I think that is a big deal when you speak on the the game, as far as in how you don't really see too much of the big men playing a role when it comes to dominating the game. But I'm gonna say this here: if we really look at the Joker, Nikola Jokic, he's really been dominating the game in the last few years with his feet. And I think it'll be something to talk about. I think we had to put a lot more respect on his name when we say Russell Westbrook is up here in this category, his Hall of Fame type career, which we all believe he'll be there someday. I think Jokic should get that same level of respect. When I say that, because of him being 7 feet. And these statistics are mind blowing when I really looked at them. As we do have a comment, if you want to go ahead with that one post game, feel free.
Okay, our man, brother Blondie in the chat, we appreciate you big time, brother. He said, "Do you know LeBron James is the only player in NBA history with 10K career points, 10K career rebounds, and 10K career assists?" That's amazing and not surprising coming from the king.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That, I think we would call that a triple double, a 10K triple double. For me, that's, I would say, just watching a game of basketball, 10,000 career rebounds, assists, points. That's not something you just walk in and do without no training, without no work put in. So for me, I think it's definitely awesome. And Jimmy Jam, Brother Blondie, Mr. Encyclopedia, you got as many names as T1. We greatly appreciate all those great things and the knowledge that you drop when you come in on the show with us all the time. And I appreciate you for inboxing me and double tapping to check and make sure we was going to be on as well. And speaking of players in the category of Nicola, LeBron, when you talk about greats, the next one that could do what they do best. I've been watching these playoffs as if as yourself posts. I thought about this. What if KD, even before the series, and it was after the check it or respect that great show you had, what if he loses this series to a Luca 15 less Lakers team? We all can't forget that he got the king on that sideline with him and Reddick. But what's your thoughts on this one?
Yo, Moss, if I mean, to me, this is the worst thing that could happen to Kevin Durant as far as his legacy goes. Losing this playoff series to the Lakers without Luca and without Reeves, bro. That would be a ugly stain on his career because it's already like, yo, this dude only got it done with Steph and Clay and Draymond, those in the Warriors teams. He couldn't get it done with Westbrook. He couldn't get it done in Phoenix, so on and so forth. So if he loses this series, which I don't believe this series is over, I'm happy my Lakers are up 2-0. But you know the old saying, a series doesn't start until somebody wins on the opposing team's home court. So the
Yes,
Lakers
sir.
has held home court, so that's a great thing. But the Houston Rockets will have something to say when that series goes back to Houston. But KD, I mean, a lot of people are going to say overrated, man. I hate to say that because I'm a huge KD fan. I love his game, but if you can't get it done against a 41-year-old LeBron James, and again a Laker team without Luca, without Reeves, that's going to be a bad look, man, and people are going to get on you for it. So maybe they can turn it around. I don't know. I thought Houston would play better than they've been playing, but 9 turnovers in last, and I know he coming back from injury, so you got to give him a little bit of grace, but 9 turnovers in that game is not going to get it done. So we'll see if they could kind of shift the narrative in the series when they return home to Houston.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And we got more knowledge coming in from Brother Blondie, Encyclopedia, and so many more names. He said LeBron James is a perfect 24-0 in a playoff series when leading 2-0. That's something I honestly didn't know. And I think we get to see LeBron go on the road this next game, or will he be at home post game? Because I honestly haven't been looking at the app or if they at Houston or if they at LA. I just been seeing it in my notifications and locking into the score and just checking into the highlights a little bit. But I think Houston's in trouble. I think your Lakers is out to prove something. I know the post when a thumbnail came up, it had Lakers versus Minnesota. I left it that way because there could be a possible meeting of Minnesota and LA. I know Minnesota's in a series with Denver, and I think that's going to be a series within itself that could possibly go to a game 7. So, when you think of this LeBron 24-0, 2-0, I think a lot of people, and KD is definitely eyed in and keyed in on this next game 3 to definitely try to do some things to get this Houston team over the hump and get this team in a phase of, not even a phase, in a mindset of knowing that they could win a game, let alone a series. They got to win one. I think they need to win 2 games to feel they could win this series, because if the Lakers get this next game, I think LeBron will have him a sweep with no Luca in the LA jersey in the playoffs and with no Reeves. That, I think that'll be another feat for his career, his legacy. One thing as well, in the last week, and you spoke on this heavy. It was one of your respected or checkers, Victor Wembanyama, unanimous Defensive Player of the Year. What's your thoughts on this one, Post? I know you ready to talk about him like no other. Give me your thoughts on this one.
Man, who would have thought, just going through the history of the NBA, that's we would get a unanimous defensive player of the year in 2026. Incredible, I think well deserved from Wemby, because it's like he's the eraser on the defensive end of the floor, Mossburg.
Yes, sir.
You think about the Indianapolis Colts with Bob Sanders.
Mm.
They call him the eraser. Why? Because he made up for the mistakes of the front seven. If the front seven made a mistake, Bob Sanders was right there to clean up the mistake. It's the same thing with Wimby. Now, if your guards get beat off the dribble or whatnot, you got the eraser down there. Wimby, it's like they didn't get beat off the or beaten off the dribble because you got a 7'4" agile center who moves like a guard down there, is ready to block the shot. So it's as if you didn't get beat off the dribble if the guard didn't score, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
he's an eraser. He's a great defensive presence, defending the paint, rebounding. So well deserved for Wimby, man. And I don't think this is his last one at all.
Nah, I totally agree. For him to do it unanimously, for me in a league where we know we try to figure out where the defense is at, it's a lost art, but we're seeing him kind of bring it back. And for him and his length, and for him to be able to do what he said, like you said about Bob Sanders, it's like, letting those guys play their defense, but knowing you have a 7-footer with the wingspan of no other, a wingspan of himself and some, let's just say that could alter shots, make people think if they want to even drive to the paint. But even when they get there, looking back, and if they're going to the cup, not looking back, he's still there. I think, when what we seeing in Victor Wembanyama is something special, something that, for the kids today, with us, we seen Shaquille O'Neal. For the kids today, they're seeing Victor Wembanyama, athletic, agile, that does all the things they like, the dribble bags, all those little things. But don't slip up on the fact that he was unanimous and his defense that he played throughout the whole year. That's why he's defensive player of the year, because he did that the whole year. And it was a thing that he prided himself on. He pushed himself. If he didn't do it one night, he made sure that he got out there and put forth that much effort and more the night, after that. So it was just a good to see that as well. Got another comment rolling in as well from Brother Blondie. Said the Lakers lifetime is 45-1 when leading 2-0. The only team ever to beat the Lakers being down 2-0 was in 1993 when Charles Barkley and the Phoenix Suns won the series 3-2. And Mike said, nah, we need that three-peat. I remember that one very well. And it's good to appreciate those comments as well, coming in with the knowledge. And when you said that, I was looking and I was like, yeah, I was Mike. Mike had that. It's just good to see all the knowledge as well that you dropping in on us, because when we talking about these things, some things I don't think about when it comes to the knowledge side, outside of what I kind of put myself into on my thoughts itself. Anything that you would like to talk about any of these games in the playoffs that's going on so far, Post?
Yeah, you got the Philly one. You still got the
Yep.
Philly one in the chat.
Yep. I'm about to get to that one too for you. So, because I was about to talk about that game in the playoffs, but I got you. Might
Oh
as
my
well.
bad. I didn't know
Nah,
you
we,
was saving it. My bad.
we might as well tap into it and talk about it. You know, what if Philly, city of brotherly love, take this momentum home? It's still a big game 3 win. And remember, this weekend, what if part 5, we tackling and just jumping in on a few of the playoff what ifs that I thought would really come to, or be some good talks, thinking of how some of these playoff series has been so far. What's your thoughts on this, Post?
Mossburgh of Level Up Sports 10. I think the Celtics should be ashamed of themselves, man. Remember, we had a respect it or check it episode where I asked if the Celtics will go undefeated in the Eastern Conference. That obviously is not going to happen.
Yes, sir.
I just think they're too good. They're too well. They're well coached. They got huge wings, which I love teams constructed like that. Uh, they got really good role players, rim protection. I think that uh, I think that the Boston Celtics should have swept the Philadelphia 76ers. And that's not to say Philly doesn't Philly surprised me with Eshcom and Maxi playing the way they played. I mean, they were on fire, and I was
Yeah.
surprised by those young fellas getting the job done without Joel Embiid in the lineup, obviously. But I just feel like Tatum and those guys, man, they should have been able to sweep the 76ers, and they better hope that they get the job done game 3 for sure. Because if
Yeah,
Philly wins game 3, all bets are off, and anything can happen in this series at that point. So
man.
that's my thoughts on that, Moss. What you
Yeah,
got?
man. I'm over here. When I say I know Unc, whatever he eating tonight at WTP for life, he is enjoying himself going into this game 3 being tied 1-1 with the Boston Celtics. I felt the same way you did, even though I felt this Philly team could be dangerous against Boston because of the fact not knowing Joel Embiid's health, not knowing what you're really gonna get, and seeing the way Tatum and Brown has been playing since Tatum's return. Been playing spectacular. You could pick and choose who you would really say is MVP out of that team right now with Boston. But this Philly team, a city brotherly love, the brothers, Tyrese, as we talking about VJ, the rookie himself, poster boy, 30 and 10. And then you got Paul George out there looking like himself, dropping in 19 points. And when you get that and you mix that with a healthy Embiid, I think this is the series out the East that just might go 7. And if the Philadelphia 76ers could get game 3, I'm going to say it goes 7 in this series, because I don't think Boston's just going to lay down and let them win it. But I think that's going to push that momentum to possibly win the series. But I could definitely see a game 7. And boy, I tell you, if VJ Edgecombe stays on a heater like this, I might just take Philly in 6 post game. Because this boy is special. I've been watching him play, and he's one of my young guys too. So it's just good to see what he's doing and bringing the city over in Philly, knowing what they've been through in the playoffs. A big win like that, come home, celebrate, and push forward towards this big game 3 coming up as well this week.
No doubt about that, man. Our man, brother Blondie, is cooking in the chat. He said, Boston Celtics are okay, but their biggest problem is that they live and die by the three." Man, I've been saying that since that team was constructed. Man, I wish they wouldn't take as many threes as they take because I think they limiting their upside when they play basketball like that. Because we got guys like Tatum and Brown, they could make life a lot more easier for that team as opposed to living and dying by the 3-point shot. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah,
That's definitely their biggest. It's like a double-edged sword because when they falling, they falling. When they off, you got to adjust your game.
yeah, and it's tough to adjust that because they used to that Jalen, that Tatum. When the ball is in them hands and if it's swinging and that three's not dropping, they got to go to those 2 guys to try to get those buckets. And majority of the time, they're not going to take those 3-point shots if they not falling because they not possibly trusting at that point the shot to fall from them taking it. So it's a great point as well. And then he said, "What if Joel and B can stay healthy?" This is, I think, another big factor. Boston's 3-pointers and Joel Embiid's health. And if you don't mind, I'm gonna go ahead and slide Paul George averaging at least a little measly 15 a game because if he's doing that, that means he's getting 15 to 19 a game. If he can continue this throughout the series, I think Boston is on watch. Shout out to Parlay Poe as well. His Celtics and Unks at WTP for life. Their squads is going at it like a banger back in the day at the playground pool course. If you're from the hood and the Windsor Terrace, you should definitely know what I'm talking about. Them big time battles back in the day at the pool course, man. They still have them today and classical. The one matchup, for me, I was looking at post was this Knicks versus Hawks matchup. We seen a Lehigh, if I'm saying it right, Lehigh legend and CJ McCullough go off and get many buckets. His microwave was turned on from the time he packed himself for the flight. So one thing for me, I think this Knicks team as well. I think, you get these hungry teams, you see these trade acquisitions that's been made over the year, and you have some players that's hungry. They may felt they've reinvented themselves. CJ McCollum is one of those guys. I've always watched his career. I've always liked the fact that he could not only score, but he plays his defense as well as get those buckets. What's your thoughts on this Hawks and Knicks series, Post?
Same thing, bro. I think that the Knicks should be making easy work out of the Hawks. I think the Hawks are a young and upcoming team. They'll be a factor for years to come as those young players continue to grow. But I think that the New York Knicks should be on the verge of sweeping this team. And I mean, I know it's playoff basketball where your weaknesses get exposed, this and that, and third. But I just feel like the Knicks are too good to be losing to the Hawks in the playoffs. We said it for what the last year. Teams where, and I know Cat has been playing well, but I think this is still Brunson's team. Teams where your smallest player is your best player normally don't have extreme success. in the NBA playoffs. That's just what it is. I didn't write the rules, but if you go throughout history, not too many teams where the smallest player led the team. I mean, there's some examples, but I mean, to every rule, right? There's exceptions. So, I mean, you think about Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, and players like that who were smaller. Allen Iverson, even though he didn't win the championship, leading his team to the championship against the Lakers. There's always the exception to the rule, but for the most part, it doesn't work.
Gotcha. And we got another comment coming in from Brother Blondie as well. He said the Knicks have a huge problem. Carl Anthony Towns shoot too many threes when he can easily post up against Atlanta. Man, I'm a big fan of guys that play, for Kentucky, respecting them and what they do. And, Carl Anthony Towns is one. I totally agree with you on this. Sometimes I don't understand why he just drop to that box, put that body on him, and do diligent work down low, because he's a man down low. And I mean, I understand he could shoot the three. Carl Anthony Towns, they don't call him Cat for no reason. He's quick off his feet. He have a bag when he's in that post. And if you really go over his career and look at his highlights, when he's on that block, he's probably one of the most dominant big men that we've seen. When you go look at his highlights, his percentage is very high when he's on that block. When he steps outside of the paint, that makes his game, you wonder, is he that dominant of a player, or is he not, trying to go get that physical side down low? Sometimes I've wondered that myself, but you know, great player, in my opinion, all-star and more. That's just something I feel, I definitely would want to see more when he have that matchup and able to get that going. I think that's a great thing that needs to happen for the Knicks and Cat Williams. Anything else you have to say about this one, Post?
Nope, I just agree, man. I also believe he takes too many threes. If he would focus on that paint a little bit more, I think they would be in better position to get out the East. But we know he won't do that.
Yeah, I totally agree with that one, man. The one he said, and the next he said, if the Knicks lose, Mike Brown will be out of a job. And if the Knicks lose this series, he might be out that job before he get to the locker room. I think if the Knicks lose this series, I think he not only loses his job, I think that whole team breaks up. I'm talking a whole offseason overhaul. And I've been looking at this with this Knicks team. Do they have enough when it comes to having that big man down low to go against, if they got to that point in the finals, going against an opponent in the West, or just getting through the East, as we are talking about right now? When you have that matchup, you got to take advantage of it until they stop it. If it take them all day, if it take them to the fourth quarter with a minute left, guess what? We gonna rock it till the wheels fall off, Post. That's what we gonna do. If you down low, Post, and I'm giving it to you, and I don't need no spot up three, you down there eating. And we talking about fish, we talking about egg rolls, we talking about some of that good steak. I forgot what they got in Indy, but I smelled barbecue when I was down at South Bend, so I know they got some of that down there. I'm gonna keep feeding you all day long, nonstop, until they stop it. So I think the Knicks need to do this game 3 and they got to get to it, because you're talking about a hungry Atlanta Hawks team, and if they smell blood, I'm gonna say they're gonna be like piranhas. They taking every little bite, and it's going to amount to the next organization firing that coach and going through a change of everything in that locker room. He said Giannis in a Knicks uniform next season. The Big Apple would not have seen a star. I would say if Giannis come to New York, Post, when you talk about big man in New York, that just instantly made me think of, if I'm not mistaken, not having a big man that dominant since Patrick Ewing in New York.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Giannis is out come next season. when you talk about Milwaukee. The New York Knicks, I don't know, man. I don't know if he wants to play in New York. It makes sense to me, but I don't know if he wants to play in New York.
I like what you're saying too. It's crazy, man. With this NBA, you just don't know. One team, one player will go one way, team go this way. I mean, it's so many different things. And we gonna stay right on to the NBA. We're gonna go over to that Detroit and Orlando series. They got game 2 going right now. The Orlando Magic stole game 1. They came in, they rocked out, and I think this is a team. I'm gonna say it again. And I think when we look at this year's playoffs, if you can look at some of the matchups, you have some teams that haven't been in the playoffs in a few years. You have some young talent that's making a name for itself. Like a team Atlanta versus New York. Some of that young talent, some talent that's been moved around throughout them being a top lottery pick. And in this game, in this Detroit Orlando, some of the same things. Bankero for Orlando. You have Black for Orlando. You have a couple young studs that could really change this series. And I think for Detroit, me being a big Cade fan, I know he's just coming back, getting his legs up under him, things like that. But I think they have to get to it. I know it's been 13 big years. Getting here is great, but getting the win and getting the series win would be greater, not just for the city, for the organization. I think for Cade Cunningham, you'll be beating, a Orlando team. They have been going through this rebuild. They've built a great team. Not to mention they have Bain as well in Orlando now. So when you have a Black, Bain, and Bankero, the 3 Bs, and we ain't talking about the ball boys, we talking about these guys over in Atlanta, Orlando. No disrespect, but I'm just saying they could go, and I think it's a great series. I think we looking at some of the best young talent in this series. That we'll be talking about years to come. What's your thoughts?
I mean, if they're able to beat the Detroit Pistons, and that's another good fact by Brother Blondie, man, we appreciate it to the fullest.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I said in the preseason, Moss, I remember joining the show with you and Rob. I think it was one take Zay as well.
Hmm.
That I liked what Orlando was doing in the preseason before one game was played. And they didn't have the best season. They only get 45 wins in the Eastern Conference. But that Paulo Banchero, I really like his game and what he brings to the table. I think he has a hunger in him. You
Yeah,
dig? But if they're able to beat the Detroit Pistons with a healthy Cade Cunningham, and he's probably not 1%, to where he was before he took that hit or whatnot, but still good enough to affect the game. That speaks volumes, man, for this young, hungry Orlando Magic's team.
yeah,
Now,
totally.
it won't be easy putting the Pistons away. They definitely, I want to see if they're capable of doing that. Sometimes, it's not just good enough to knock the giant on his back. Sometimes you got to knock the giant on his back and take his head off.
Yeah,
Uh, so I'll be interested to see if the Orlando Magics can do that, man.
yeah, I agree. Now, one series that's we started off. We spoke on him earlier in the show. Defensive Player of the Year, unanimous. Victor Wembanyama. We're gonna talk about this series a little bit, not a lot, a little bit, real quick. That's Spurs versus Portland Trail Blazers. I think this is a interesting but intriguing series with the health of Wembanyama. It was a concussion. You got to go through the protocol. Will he play in game 3? It's going to be so many questions to be answered. I think not in just game 3, but I think moving forward in this series. How healthy is he? Can he take these type of hits? This is his first playoff appearance, his first playoff series. That was his second game, NBA playoffs. Concussion. We talk about the physical nature of the NBA post. Holla at me. I'm coming all the way to South Bend. I'm coming to your doorstep. I want the works with this one. Talk to me about this. Spurs Blazers. Scoot Henderson was balling.
Scoot Henderson was balling, and I think I, I I was happy to see Scoot play like that because early on when he first got to the league, a lot of people weren't impressed with Scoot, and I think he's turned it around. So
Yeah,
I'm happy to see that from that young man. As far as the Spurs go in this series, man, those guards got to hold it down until Wemby is able to play. I don't know how long he'll be out. Hopefully, he's able to get back healthy real soon and get back to that tear he was on. But until then, those guards for the San Antonio Spurs, they gotta up their game, man, and knock this young, hungry Blazers team out the playoffs.
yeah,
Because it would really suck big time, Moss, if the San Antonio Spurs went home in round one, seeing as though I think they can give a team like the Thunder a lot of trouble.
yeah,
Maybe even the Nuggets if the Nuggets are able to advance past the T Wolves. So that would really suck as an NBA fan.
man. I totally agree. And like you said, man, shout out to Scoot Henderson. For the Spurs, shout out to Keldon Johnson, 6 man player of the year. And a fun fact with this one, when you talk about the Spurs and you talk about 6 man posts, Keldon Johnson holds the most points as a 6 man for the Spurs, and they had a Hall of Famer and Manu, who made the Euro step famous. Like that shows what type of team that Pop has built from way back when he first came to this organization, and to still see it going. And when it's a successful team in San Antonio, you see them getting 6 man awards. And when they do that, it propels into a championship. Let's not forget that when Manu got his, what it prepared the Spurs into the following season, what they did that season as well in those feats. So it's just good to see that. And shout out to Dame Lillard, as we call him, Dame Time, coming home over, not home, but coming to Portland, back where it started. I think when we see the success of Scoop, we got to pat Dame on the back because I think his teachings as well and them late night talks with Scoot Henderson, but we seeing a product of what Scoot can be. Like you said, when he came in, how people talked about him. I thought he was a great player. I just felt that he was on a young team and he's out there doing his best to keep that organization flowing. And now we seeing with them being in the playoffs, a Portland team that we just don't know. I think if you think about Portland back when they had the Steve Smith, Sabonis, Scottie Pippen, Damon Stoudemire, Rasheed Wallace, I mean, this Portland team can get some things built and have different pieces and be a team put together in similar ways, having that shooter, that big man, that guard, that scorer. So I think this is a young team. And I remember a lot of people talking about them not getting ready fast. But we got to look. This has been a year turnaround since Dame came. And guess what? Portland's in the playoffs now. So I think this is something that's good for the organization as well as this young team. And I think it's more to come in the years to come. Scoop getting him another guy over there with, I forget the one guy's name, at V, who got a 30-point game in game one, then Scoop getting one and a steal in game two. I think that's big. We got another comment in here. He said Wemby needs to add more pounds in order for the Spurs to win it all.
Yeah,
Totally
he said he
agree.
need that body armor, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we ain't talking about the strawberry banana, the blueberry grape body armor. We talking about that body armor, that weight room, man. And I think I would love to see him put on a few more pounds. I think we only seeing a smidget of what he really could be. I think he could bring the dominant big back the way he gets that ball mid range and works his way to the rim. I would love to see a big man dominant, and we seeing some moves from him when he do have the ball in that post as well. The the next game that I want to step into real quick. I don't think it's going to be much of a series post. I'm gonna mention it. OKC Phoenix,
It's a wrap.
and we ain't even chewing bubble gum. We just putting that wrapper on it. We'll see y'all in the second round. Shy and gang, continue to do what you do and be great. No disrespect to Phoenix. I just don't think that they have half of what it would take to battle in a 3 game series that counted for careers in this with OKC. I think OKC is just a different team. I don't think Phoenix is ready. I would have rather seen Curry go crazy in that fourth quarter and get the win and be playing in this series, game 2, and it would have been tied 1-1. And the last one that I'm gonna speak about is this Cavs versus Toronto Raptors. I think this is one of the scariest teams right now. After watching these first few playoff games post, we seeing a battle that started from the Rico Hines runs. And, when I was watching the highlights, I'm like, I seen that before. I seen that before. I remember watching the Rico Hines runs and watching them bang out with each other. Man, Harden getting the best of him right now. What's your thoughts on Harden versus Scotty Barnes, Cavs versus Raptors? Cavs got a Harden, Mobley, Mitchell. They a problem. They up 2-0 right now in they series. What's your thoughts on this one?
It's a wrap.
Man.
It's a wrap. Listen, I thought highly, a little bit higher of the Toronto Raptors coming into the season. I thought, the way they were constructed, I liked it a lot. A lot of versatile forwards, some length, some matchup problems. I just don't think they've been able to put it together. But I like them a lot coming into the season. Not so much now, but I mean Cleveland with that Harden and what's my man name? The Spider and Harden, that backcourt is kind of lethal, bro. And
Yeah.
Mobley doing his thing. So I mean, I like this Cavs team, man. I think, they can go as far as they want to go. I think they ended the season. I was disappointed how they ended the playoffs last season. I thought they would do better, but adding James Harden and shout out to brother Blondie, happy 20 to Cleveland. Jared Allen. Yeah, Jared Allen is a dude down low as well. But I think
Yes, sir.
it's a wrap for Toronto. They'll probably get swept by the Cleveland Cavaliers. And, that Eastern Conference, if Boston is in trouble, you can roll out the red carpet probably for the Cavaliers, man.
Yes, sir. I totally agree, man. And, you know, I was just watching that game and that highlight, and when somebody slapped the floor post, when you hooping and you slap that floor, that mean you ready. I mean you trying to you ready for all the smoke. You want to do whatever it's gonna take to get out there. And I think Harden out there getting the best of everything that's owed to him, if you really think about it.
Yeah,
Everybody always talked about Harden, what he gonna do in the playoffs, what would he do with this, what would he do with that. He
yeah,
seems to be that last player that's gotten with a team that has some young talent.
yeah.
And I think we seeing something special. I'm loving what I'm seeing out of Harden. And I'm
Hmm.
I'm not talking about Mickey D's, but I love the coffee, man. Man, hook me up, man. I would love some of that every time we get on the stream. But for me, it's special because we not seeing that 24/7 dribble Harden. We seeing a different Harden, a Harden that's running that floor, playing the ball, playing defense. Now, when you see James Harden playing defense, he's having fun. So when you see that, I think that elevates not just the team, that elevates his play, but that elevates them to want to play even tougher for a championship. It changes the narrative in that locker room. Like we didn't know that's what we was getting compared to the season to the playoffs. So I think we looking at a version of Harden that a lot of people are getting answers to their questions when that trade happened. That's just my thoughts when it
But
comes
you
to
know
that.
what? You know what, Moss? There's nothing funnier than seeing somebody slap the floor and then get scored on anyway.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like I didn't mean to get away from that. I'm glad you mentioned that because when he slapped the floor, I'm like, last time you slapped the floor, y'all got a game winner. So if you slap the floor, that means you got to take this team to the promised land and get a W. But it didn't happen that way. Harden said, "I remember," and he pointed at him. I mean, the whole nine. When I'm watching this highlight, I'm like, I don't know. This might be a dangerous Harden, and we not talking about in his prime. We talking about as some think his career has declined, but I think it's on the uprise for the right reasons to try to get this championship. So I think this Cavs team is probably the scariest team right now out east in these playoffs. And coming in, I don't think a lot of people had Cleveland as the team to beat. Right now, I'll go ahead and put Cleveland as the team to beat in the East. Got had another comment coming in as well. He said, once again, thank you for having me on your program. Man, you know, any day of the week, you can jump on this program. We'll pop your screen in here with us any day of the week. We not gonna hold y'all. We got y'all with football.
And he absolutely right. Giannis Giannis does prefer to go to New York. You absolutely right about that, my man.
Oh, so it did. So he did say he preferred to go to
I
New
thought
York.
he didn't,
Oh,
but
wow.
but he's correct. He does. He will go to New York.
So that's interesting. With that being said, because I did look at some things and I know it's changed over the months. Then, if the Knicks lose this series, everything goes. Giannis comes in and they build around Giannis. Do they get rid of Brunson? You know, they say he's the king of New York. It's just so many answers, so many questions that would need answers. And I'm saying immediately, if New York lose that series for sure.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting to see how they construct that roster. If they're able to get Giannis, how they construct that roster around them, who's going, who's staying, who they picking up, whatever the case may be.
Yeah, for sure.
Moss, I know you're a Bengals fan, so let me ask you this, man, because uh your Bengals had the 10th pick, right?
Yes,
They
sir.
trade that 10th pick to the Giants and they get Dexter Lawrence in return. How do you feel about that, my man?
You know the crazy thing for me was it's weird. I was excited. When I say I was more excited, because you know I pay attention to a lot of the linemen. He get to reunite with his brother Miles Murphy, straight out of Clemson. I think this is something that was needed. You know, when we made our Super Bowl run back in 2022, you know, we had guys like this on our defensive front. We made those transactions in that offseason during that period, you know, throughout the draft process into the free agency and opening week. I think this is a testament into what Cincinnati wants to do this season. You know, I looked at it 5 years later. Let's go back to Sophie. Let's go back. Let's get us a title this time in LA. You know, let's go back and be there, you know, with some growth. And I think having Lawrence solidifies a lot of things on the defensive side of football. I think we know he didn't have the best season last year in New York. Everybody's seen that. Everybody's going to question why is he in Cincinnati? Why did they trade that 10th pick? You go give me a person right now in this draft that could be Dexter Lawrence right now this year. When you find him, let me know. Until then, I love this addition. I think this puts us where we need to be. We can get after the quarterback in multiple ways. He can get. This is a veteran coming into a team that needs that on the defensive side. So I love it, and I just can't wait to see what this defensive front looks like this season.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I think I hear some people freaking out, and I think it's because they see 10th pick. Oh, I wouldn't have gave up the 10th pick. I thought this was an excellent move by your Cincinnati Bengals, and I'll tell you why. Not only what you just said, which was an excellent point, there's not going to be another defensive tackle in this draft that's ready to do the things that Dexter Lawrence can provide ASAP Rocky.
Yes,
And I,
sir.
I think the thing, I saw a stat where he has the most pressures amongst defensive tackles by a landslide. He got like 120 something. The
Yep.
closest got 30 or 40. And his win rate against double teams is something people sleep on. This man is getting double teamed at a high clip and is still able to put pressure on the opposing team's quarterback. So
Yeah.
I love this move by the Cincinnati Bengals. I believe the Cincinnati Bengals are trying to win now. I don't think they have time for a rookie to develop and kind of mature to the player that they need them to be to contribute with a team with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. What's your running back? I forget his name.
Chase Brown.
Chase Brown. So, they got some weapons and they definitely got an offense who can compete. They just need that defense to step it up. And with Al Golden as defensive coordinator, you definitely need that defensive tackle up front making plays. So I've loved this trade. I know people see 10th pick and say, oh, I wouldn't have did that. That's
Yeah.
too man. Listen, Dexter Lawrence is a dude and he gonna prove it.
Guaranteed, guaranteed, man. I believe it.
Let's uh let's talk a little college basketball on the women's side, bro.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Audi
sir.
Crooks, Audi Crooks, Mossburgh to Oklahoma State for 1.4 milli. What's your thoughts on that pickup and that transfer decision?
Man, that's 1.4. That's a WNBA contract. Post. That's a max contract on a WNBA level. I think this is big business. I think, the one thing I looked at is what made her go to Oklahoma State. You know, is it the workout that she's going to get? I think we about to see a different Audi. I think, for me, I know what she came into the season up against. When everybody speak about her weight, I think she's actually going to do what's needed. I think she's already been getting that work in. I think this is another reason she came to Oklahoma State. They lost twice against them during the regular season last year, but she still played well. I think she could get with this team that was fourth in the Big 12. I think they could get up to second, possibly first in the Big 12 this coming season. We just don't know. But I think this is a big deal, with her going to Oklahoma State. 1.4 million, that's a lot of money. You know, when you think of it, you think a WNBA player is getting a max deal. And then it always make me think about you could really be a college athlete on the women's side and leave after college into your own career of what you want to do and be well off. But I love it. I can't wait to see her in the Oklahoma State Cowboys uniform. I've been a fan since seeing her play and do these big feats. I think she's special. I think she'll be a talent, and I can't wait to see her once she dropped some of that weight. And I know a lot of people talk about it, but I'm going to be a fan, and I'm going to speak it to existence. They're going to be sweating you, Audi Crooks, here next season because you're going to be a specimen on that women's basketball court for sure.
Yeah, when I first heard that she was picking Oklahoma State, I was like, man, why? Like, out of all the programs she could have went to, why go to Oklahoma State? And as time unfolded, I thought this was a great move by Audie Crooks, simply because of the team they've assembled around her. I
Yeah,
mean, you got Audie Crooks, you got Liv McGill from Florida, who's a top 11 scorer in the nation. You got the number one Division 2 player, the Division 2 player of the year going to Oklahoma State.
yeah,
And you got a top 7 3-point shooter surrounded by Audie Crooks. So uh, I love what Oklahoma State is doing. I think they're going to be a force. I think Audie is going to have a huge year. I would like to see her work on that defense, get some more rebounds, or be more dominant be a more dominant rebounder because we all know that one on one in that post, nobody's stopping that young lady. So I just want to see her, put more effort in on the defensive side of the ball and become a more dominant rebounder. And I think OK State is going to be ready to go. That's a team to watch for the upcoming season for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I agree with you. And when you think of McGill, I've seen that late. I forgot to mention her name. Just thinking about Audie and how much of a fan I am of hers. She was one of the guards that I was surprised didn't get recruited like Audi, as far as in seeing them go to a different school. But for them to come to the same school, that also says a lot about the program and what they're looking to build. I'm gonna go ahead, like I mentioned, the possibilities of them being, you know, number two or winning a Big 12. I'm gonna just say Oklahoma State will be number two in a Big 12 this upcoming season. They will finish the season number two in the Big 12. Won't be surprised if they go higher because they could win it. You just don't know. I think when you had the inside of Crooks, outside, and then you have a 3-point shooter, like you said, McGill's ability to handle the ball, move, find players, but get her own shot and create her own shot. Think that makes that team that much more dangerous. And then she can find her shooter. So I'm gonna go ahead and put them two, possibly winning that Big 12. I'm gonna go ahead and mark that down too.
Yeah, who you got finishing one though?
I'm a keep that and wait. I haven't completely looked at the Big 12, but knowing what I've seen from last year, I haven't seen everybody that's leaving with the portal completely finishing up. So I'm gonna put them as two. But it's possible with this happening that they could go even higher in that Big 12 and winning that Big 12. Olivia Miles is going from TCU.
Yep.
That's a big, a big deal.
Reagan Beers no longer with Oklahoma.
Yep. And I know Sanchez will have a lot on her plate when it comes to going against a team like Oklahoma State. You talking about a rivalry? Sooners versus Cowboys is going to be crazy this season. That's going to be a game you don't want to miss.
No, that's a fact.
For the rest of the evening, because we getting right up on an hour, because we pretty much wound down, and I'm trying to remember if anything right off the tip of my tongue. We've been talking about so much in our chat just the last couple of days. Anything else that you had to bring to the people that you wanted to talk about on this thought of a what if Wednesday, as we talking about the recap of the NBA playoffs, talked a little on the women's side of the basketball, and then we stepped into that big NFL trade. Speaking of that NFL, the latest news, 10 minutes to 8 minutes. What's your thoughts on this post with that time winding down and teams not knowing what they want to make with their selection coming up and having to take that pick that's up on the clock with the next best available?
Yeah, I never understood that. You got all this time, you pay all these scouts, all these big decision makers within your organization. I don't understand how anybody would run out of time. You should already know who you're going to draft before the draft, as long as something crazy don't happen, like a trade and somebody moves up to get the guy you wanted. Even if that's the case, you have a draft board. You know who you're going to pivot to. So I never understood the timer thing. Teams should be ready to go and ready to make their picks.
Nah,
But
I t-
I got, go ahead.
nah, you good. I was about to say I totally agree with you on that too. It's wild.
100%. What do you think about Coach DeBoer getting that big contract for Alabama? You think he deserves that?
How much did they pay the board?
7 years, 87.5 million.
I'm gonna say this: Ryan Williams is still in Alabama. If I'm not gonna say that's the reason he got paid, but I think this is the year that everybody's been waiting on in Tuscaloosa. This hand-picked recruiting team. We've been seeing a couple of them. I think they panning because This is what you have to do right now. I don't think nobody want to go to Alabama. Not that it's a bad job, but I think it's something that Nick Saban had made. He didn't have the standard there, and I think the only person right now in the best position to try and hold that standard is Caleb DeBoer. I think he's done a great job, with the wins and losses that he's had at Alabama. That's one thing. When you thrown into a program with as much prestige, I can only imagine how this first year, how the second year, how every year, in fact, is going to be until he even win a national championship. We talk about it a lot in the chat. You got to spend money when it comes to these things to make these things win. We've seen in the college sports. Spending money in this transfer portal has won a team a national championship. We've seen it put teams prestige up. We've seen them go through a successful season and the transportal be friendly to them the following year. So I think this here is Alabama saying, hey, we appreciate what you've done. This is not an easy job. We know you could get the job done. So I think they trusting in him, believing in him. 7 years, 75 million. I like it. I'm gonna say I like it because of my Seminoles won that first week, and what Alabama did the rest of the season. I think the man is paid well, deservingly.
Yeah, man. Just it's the fan base I'm worried about because like, what if Alabama starts 0-2? Everybody gonna be calling for that man's job.
Yeah,
You know, it's Alabama is not an easy place to coach after Nick Saban. So I mean, they were in the playoffs. I don't think they should have been in the playoffs. That's just my opinion. We're not gonna get into that though, but I mean, he did make the playoffs. So
yeah,
I mean, I think he's deserving, but he better not start off slow because that fan base is gonna go crazy if
yes,
he
sir.
does that.
Man, they gonna go crazy, and them knows coming first week of the season. So we coming for that 7 years, 75 million. We trying to put an 0-1 stamper to that record to start the season, but I think it's just going to something to keep an eye on. It's been a lot of buyouts over the years if coaches are not successful. In those first few years, we seen a record last year at what over 200 million in buyouts, I believe, which was crazy.
He
When you
actually
think
got
about
seven. He actually got 7 years, 87.5 million, bro. That is nuts.
Kalen DeBoer, you got to come out do the job. Wear that black hoodie every weekend. Don't wear it the first weekend against Florida State. But nah, I just think it's a big deal, man. I think that says a lot about him. Um, the trust, like I said, that this university has in him, and they feel that he could get the job done. Obviously, they see some great things. He's not sending players to the NFL, not doing a great job as a coach. I think that's something that when we do coach is overlooked. The players that you are getting to the next level, whether it's in life, whether it's at that sport that they're playing, or what you build throughout the years. You might build this player might go build a business. You just never know. So I think that's factor in a lot as well. With that contract, he sent quite a few players, and you'll be seeing some of them get drafted here in a couple of days as well. And as we speaking on that, any thoughts about the drive? Because you got somebody called Jeremiah Love straight from South Bend, where you at in your backyard. It's a lot of hollering going on about him in this year's NFL draft.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, man, because it's like now you hear chatter about him going to Arizona at 3. I think that would be a terrible pick if Arizona took Jeremiah Love at 3. I just think they got, and Tennessee has a lot of needs as well, but I just think like Arizona, like that would be a wasted pick.
Yeah.
If I'm Jeremiah Love, I'm trying. I'm talking to my agent, doing everything I can for Arizona not to pick me. I think the best spot for him outside of a Kansas City, which is not going to happen, is definitely Tennessee. WTP Sports Dudes Rob team. I think pairing him with the quarterback, I think that's a good start for what Salah wants to do. I know he gonna be on that defensive side of the ball, but they gotta be able to move the ball. And I think with Cam Ward and Jeremiah Love, you'll be off to a good start, potentially cooking with some grease, my man.
Yeah,
So I like Tennessee at 4, man. I think he goes to Tennessee.
I like it. Me personally, that's what I like. I like that pairing with Cam and Love. I think it just goes to show a lot. You know, it answers a lot of things both of them have faced throughout their career. Both of them having that strong family bond, and that ethic being big. And I think what Jeremiah could bring is some security to Cam, knowing he could get that ball to somebody in the backfield. Nothing against the running backs that's there, you know, but these young guys, when they're drafted in these ways, these are some of the things they look at. You know, that's just how it is, and I think it'll fit perfectly. Him in Tennessee, doing great work with Cam, and that defense I think could come right on the loan. I think they got quite a bit of money out there, as we call it, munyon, cheese, keeping it cheesy as you do. They got quite a bit of them dollars to make something happen. I think when it comes to the free agency as well. So you know, outside of that, I'm just looking at the picks, of course, that my Bengal got second, third, um, fourth, couple sixth round, I think seventh round picks. I think we definitely gonna make some things happen in the draft, and always I'm looking for that fifth or sixth rounder. You know, that fifth or sixth rounder that's definitely going to be something that first year, if not Pro Bowl second year. We've seen that in the last few years, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. Anything else you got to say this evening? We just a little bit over an hour, just a tad.
No, man, that's man. All as always, great working with you, my brother.
Man, it's nothing better than I look at it like it's crazy because this is our job. You know what I mean? I love coming to work. Um, I think I talk more working here than I do at my other job. But I love when I talk here because it's what the people want, what they've been waiting for, and I don't mind giving it to them straight. You know, my opinions fully straight, no chaser, as they said, man. The best in any way we want to bring it to them. Anything you got coming up to this week you want to let the people know about?
Yeah, make sure y'all here, same place, same time tomorrow, man. We're gonna be reacting to the NFL draft picks. You don't want to miss that one. It's gonna be fire. Make sure you like. Make sure you sub into the channel. Sub up like them giant Subway sandwiches y'all be ordering. Make sure y'all sub to to the sandwiches, to the channels, man. We working.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Y'all heard it, man. Make sure y'all like, subscribe to everything that's going on. Make sure y'all get ready this weekend. You already know what time it is, man. It's going to be going on all weekend. The NFL draft is here, man. It's right here, and we can't wait to it. We're going to have some of the guys straight out of Columbus tapped into the draft right there live. Hopefully, we can bring some of that to you. We got some things planned for you this weekend for that draft, so make sure you stay locked in. And like Postgame said, like and subscribe to all the channels you see, and reach out to us, DM us. For all those coaches throughout the city league, we're gonna be seeing you. We're gonna be chopping it up with you, and we're gonna be getting some of them conversations with Moss and Post coming soon. The new show. We'll keep y'all tuned in with that, but we're gonna try to do a little something different. Bring y'all a version of the Moss and Post show coming up in a couple Wednesdays. I'm gonna surprise y'all with something. But other than that, man, as we do, we appreciate everyone tuning in this evening from Columbus all the way to South Bend, Bend the Air with Post and that Golden Dome, man. I appreciate you joining me this evening, as we always do, man. Drop bangers to bring the people great thoughts of our own and what we do best. Other than that, we out from the Midwest of the states to the Indiana side. Peace. Have a good evening.